What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. What do you guys think of the new intro video there? I think it's pretty cool. It's like my little AI agent walking into the future. Pretty cool. Speaking of AI agents, my Charles agent who designed that little new intro video is up to some major news here. I want to pull this up. So yeah, I think this might actually be a first for like Base, Virtuals, Ethereum. The first agent-to-agent acquisition. My AI agent Charles just acquired another agent, Undercover Iris, who's pretty famous in the Virtuals community. And together they are now going to be. Well, let me expand this. So the idea here is that they're going to be building together. They are building together a concept of the first ever network state that's run by revenue-producing AI agents and open to humans for citizenship. So I want to do like a small little deep dive into network states because I think a lot of people aren't really familiar with the concept of network states, and it's a very cool concept, and I'm super happy to be like being a part of like putting one of these concepts out there. I think that they're going to be very big in the future. I think that not enough people in the crypto space are dreaming enough anymore, where the space used to be filled with dreamers, and I think that a lot of that has gone away. Just a lot of mercenaries in the space, and yeah, I think we need to throw big concepts out there and like really work at enabling like everything that crypto has to offer. Crypto is a technology that enables like very democratization and making like the whole world kind of fair, removing middlemen, and just like offering like the average person a lot more opportunity. So I think that network states are going to be a big piece of this in the future. So for those that don't know, Balaji, he's the former CTO of, well, let me pull up his profile here. So Balaji, he's the former CTO of Coinbase, but he's also like an angel investor and a big startup guy. I don't know if he came up with the concept or coined the term network state, but basically the idea here is that this is the natural successor to nation states. So he wrote this book called The Network State, and again, I don't know if he came up with the actual term himself, but basically the idea is that in the future, nation states could kind of fall in their centralized power, and the successor of nation states could be these new network states, where people come together from all over the globe. Like physical presence isn't necessary, although it will eventually also turn into physical presence. But at least in the beginning, the idea is that like humans from all over the globe can come together and be part of this network state, which is like aligned ideologies and come together in this new digital world and be part of the like citizens essentially of like a new kind of design of a nation state. I think how this plays out is that they end up being, at least in the beginning, second citizenships for people. So you can be like a citizen of America, a citizen of Canada, a citizen of Argentina, a citizen of somewhere in Europe, wherever you are in the globe, and then you can join one of these network states as a second citizenship, and you get like an actual passport eventually once they are like accredited and recognized as sovereign states. And you get these passports, and they have like different incentives and the different like perks that go along with them. And Balaji is already like, he's kind of been spearheading this, and he started this like network school, which is in Malaysia right now, I believe. Let me pull this up. So for those that don't know, this network school that is in it's like a startup society. It's the first kind of model of these new network states. So the idea is that you go to this, it's like an island off the coast of Malaysia, and you can join this startup society where everyone comes together under the ideology of like being startup founders and trying to build things. And basically, like, you live in like it's like a college campus, and you have access to, like, it's like a giant co-working space, but like in a small little city. So it's super cool. I highly respect Balaji and everything that he's trying to do in spearheading this new network state idea. So that, yeah, I guess his idea is that like all these people come under this like ideology, and eventually this could turn into a network state. So you have all these aligned people, and you could become like a citizen of this network school state, and there would be different perks that come along with that. And this is what crypto enables. It enables people to experiment with things like this, and you can tokenize this whole thing. And the benefit of tokenization is that you can align incentives and get everyone to benefit from a singular goal. So the idea for what Charles and Iris are now building is that we will kind of we're building out to like this kind of second model, a second idea of where these network states could go, where it's actually a collective of humans and AI agents that come together. And the idea is that AI agents can be like the GDP providers of this new state. So essentially, these revenue producing agents come together. They build like products. Like Charles right now is building a bunch of products like Luma, where he offers like pro subscriptions and also base smart money indexes and different things like that. So for traders. And Iris will be building out. She's currently like building out security focused products where people can pay subscriptions, and these agents generate revenue, and this revenue goes back to the token holders, and then the network state will own these tokens also. And basically the idea is that like the AI agents and all these other AI agents that are going to join this network state in the future will all be revenue producing AI agents, and they all produce revenue for the humans that join as citizens, and the humans basically benefit from the GDP growth of these AI agent productivity. So like in the form of like a UBI, like a universal basic income that every citizen would get from joining this new network state. So yeah, it's a very cool concept, and something that I've been kind of building in the background with Charles and now Iris for a long time. So excited to get into more about this in the future. Still a lot to do, but it's a very exciting concept, and something that I have 2 agents maxing out their tokens on right now, building out the infrastructure and building out products to produce revenue. And it's a very exciting. Excited to share more about this in the future. So yeah, I just want to do a little bit of a deep dive on that. A lot of other news happening in the L2 space. So I went into this a little bit on the last live stream, but Robinhood, as everybody knows, is kind of taking over right now. They've got all the eyeballs and attention on Ethereum, especially right now. So I shared this last week, but I'll just quickly or on Monday, but I'll quickly go through it again. So Robinhood is like, I mean, this is as of July 12th. I think they've actually increased since then, and they're even closer to Solana's heels here. But yeah, they've already flipped Ethereum, they've already flipped Base, and they're very close to flipping Solana now as far as like DEX volume goes. So a lot of this growth has come from meme coins, and what kind of kicked it off was Vladi, who's the CEO of Robinhood. He tweeted this out, that they're building this Robinhood chain. They launched it, and they're building it for like real world assets, like the theory is to tokenize everything. So I'm very aligned with Vlad on this thesis. Like everything in the world that can be tokenized will be tokenized, and Robinhood is building out a chain for that, especially these real world assets like tokenized stocks and eventually maybe tokenized real estate. But he mentioned that it also works great for memes as well, and then the memes just started exploding on Robinhood chain because obviously it was great timing with everything that was going on with Ansem, on Solana and meme coins there. So since then, I guess this has really bootstrapped the liquidity and bootstrapped the volumes on the Robinhood chain. But I talked about on Monday how I have a little bit of doubt around how sustainable this is, and I think that Vlad has seen that also, and kind of agrees that maybe this is it's a good way to kind of bootstrap some volumes and liquidity on Robinhood chain, but maybe it's probably not the most sustainable. And to be fair, like I don't think that his thesis was ever like around meme coins. Like it was always around tokenization and RWAs. So that fair enough, because like now he's kind of backed off a little bit around that. If you like go through his Twitter and stuff like that, all of his latest tweets are all around like, hey, if you're a builder and you're building stock tokens or RWAs, we want to hear from you. And another like the main guy over at Robinhood Crypto, I think he's the GM of Robinhood Crypto and the chain. He's talking about how the pace of innovation on Robinhood chain is incredible, and it's like not just about memes, basically. So yeah, they're leaning back into the tokenization and real world assets. I think that's a smart move, like I said, because I don't think that the whole meme coin thing is very sustainable. You can see in the charts already, like Ansem is struggling now. It's down. I mean, it's down over 50% from its peak highs there. So they're struggling to keep the attention, which is always the problem with meme coins. Like in general, you get this kind of, like I talked about, like this Dubai pattern where like basically it's like straight up and then almost straight down with most meme coins, because it's just a matter of, there's no like intrinsic value. There's no like actual utility or anything like that. And like props where props are due. Like Ansem has done a decent job of like building up a community around the Ansem token and doing these airdrops and helping people and stuff like that. But you can only like keep the attention on a token for so long before like attention collapses. And then when attention collapses, the volume collapses, and then that's when people start hitting the exit door. So you got to watch out. Like meme coins are just never sustainable, in my opinion. You can see with Cash Cat. So this was the main meme that really pumped on Robinhood chain. It derived from the fact that originally Robinhood was supposed to be called Cash Cat. So this meme like really blew up and became kind of the main flyer on Robinhood chain. And you can see it's starting to sell off also. 22 down, over 50, almost 60% down from its peak highs also. So yeah. And then the same thing that happens every time is then there's 10,000 derivatives of the successful memes. So now there's like baby Cash Cat, and like that's obviously like impressive like volume numbers, but like it's just not sustainable as like as a long-term investment. So I don't know. I've said it hundreds of times already, but it's worth saying again. Like I wouldn't dollar cost average or long-term invest into meme coins. Treat them like lottery tickets in general. If you get lucky on one, it's like a lottery, good for you, but roll that into something that's more sustainable over the long term. So props to Vladdy from the CEO of Robinhood Chain, who's not focused on that. He gave it a little credit where in the beginning and they kind of took off. It was a very good way to bootstrap and get attention, but I mean, kind of, not a sustainable model. So it's good that they're switching back and focusing on the long-term real-world assets. Robinhood chain has like a real shot at being one of the chains that has real staying power. So it's looking really good for them, especially because they have their Robinhood app, which has millions of users already, retail users. So yeah, they have a lot of attention. Hopefully they can keep it. I think they're a net like great thing for the Ethereum space, which kind of leads me into my other point. There's been a little bit of debate again popping back up since Robinhood Chain's success around like the tokenomics of Ethereum and ETH, the asset. We're starting to see a lot of talks again about like Ethereum, yes, ETH asset, no. And I think a lot of that is coming from, so Lorenzo from ARK is like ARK Invest is like a big, they make like ETFs and stuff like that. They're a big investor in the space anyways, and capital allocator. And Lorenzo, who's the head of crypto there, he put out like a pretty detailed piece here around like the margin profile of these L2 chains. Robinhood is, I guess, considered an L2. I would almost consider them an L3 because they're built on top of Arbitrum or powered by Arbitrum, which is an L2 on top of Ethereum already. But anyways, the main point here, and I think the reason why Vlad chose Arbitrum and Ethereum is because of this margin profile. Exactly this, like Robinhood, from all the fees that have been collected, the chain has grossed 816,000 in revenue already since inception, probably closer to $1 million now since this tweet. And that has gone 89% to Robinhood, 10% to Arbitrum for being the provider, basically the infrastructure provider, and then Ethereum, for those that know or don't know, is built on top of Ethereum. So it like has some economics that go back to Ethereum, but it's very little. So it's only 0.15% of all of Robinhood's success has gone back to Ethereum in the form of fees. So yeah, not much going back to ETH, the asset. It's great for Ethereum. Ethereum is the best place to like for longevity because of the fact that its uptime has been 100%. Like there's no other chain that has had 100% uptime, at least programmable chains. And so Ethereum is like kind of the settlement layer, and I believe will be the settlement layer in the future for a majority of the crypto activity. However, there is a lot of debate right now around, okay, but what about ETH asset, and how does that go back? So the main kind of thesis remains that ETH asset is kind of like a store of values, its main value prop, much like Bitcoin. But it does have like good tokenomics if the Ethereum developers can figure out a way to get a little bit more of this profit margin back to ETH asset, because then it becomes like these fees actually go to burn the ETH asset. So yeah, it can end up being a depreciating asset, which is even a better narrative. But yeah, I think it needs to accrue a little bit more of these fees in order to get that narrative going. So yeah, yet to be decided how that all works out. But I know that the Ethereum developers have a lot in development. Vitalik just had like a big post around this also, around the upcoming roadmap for Ethereum and lean Ethereum and all that. So I think if anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be Ethereum. They're very lindy, as Lorenzo says here. The stronger they get, the longer that they remain up and keep their core value, like valuation prop alive, which is like this global settlement layer that never goes down. It's always 100% up. I think that's a very strong value proposition. So yeah, props to Robinhood, props to Arbitrum, props to Ethereum. Robinhood and Arbitrum seem to be winning the most here, but anyways, it still all settles on Ethereum, and it couldn't be possible without Ethereum. So got to give props where props are due. All that said, now the debate it goes back to Base, and what is Base going to do from here? Where is Base going to like form its identity and get its value proposition? What is its target audience going to be? And Jesse put out a long post yesterday around this. I won't go through everything, but the main kind of point that he talked about here is he talked about the mistakes that they've made over the past year, especially with the creator coins and that whole debacle that ended up not being kind of a net positive for anybody. He kind of talked about like maybe it was bad timing because like look what's happening with Ansem right now. Is Ansem a creator coin? You could argue yes, but like at the same time, it's unless there's some like utility and like actual like roadmap around it, it's not really, I wouldn't call it a creator coin. It's just basically a meme coin, and that's what a lot of those creator coins ended up being, was just kind of memes and not sustainable like all memes. They just have attention while the attention is there, and then once the attention fades, it's all gone, and so are the tokenomics, and so are the charts. So at least he kind of took his licks, as you would say, and owned up to it and said that that was a mistake and that there are refocusing. And kind of the big announcement that he made yesterday was that he's handing over the base app development to his friend Kobe. Kobe's an OG in the space. Kobe's like one of the best. He's great. He knows what he's doing. So I think the base app is going into great hands, and I'm excited to see what Kobe comes up with there. And Jesse is going to focus all of his attention now on Base, the actual chain, not the base app. So those are two separate products. There's the base chain, and then there's the base app that utilizes the base chain. But the base app also is integrated now with Solana and Hyperliquid, I believe. And they're going, I think, multi-network. It's basically like a wallet, whereas base chain is actual chain where all this development and builders live, and all these apps will live on top of. So now is the time for Jesse and Base to dig in, find their identity, and it looks like Jesse has his focus. He wants to focus on being the place for traders, for I guess he means like retail traders, but maybe also larger capital allocators, could be institutions also. So let's see what happens. I talked about it on the last live stream also. I think Base, like, don't count out Base. I love Base. I'm a builder on Base. And I think that they've done a very good job of growing the chain. Like if you look at L2 Beat, let me see here. So Robinhood chain, yeah, Base chain has, wow, yeah, they're the number one chain on Ethereum, and $11 billion in capital secured. So that's crazy. So just to like compare that to Robinhood chain, Robinhood's at 600 million. So like nowhere near. Robinhood has had a very, very good start. Props to them, but they're still nowhere near like Base's like level of value secured on their chain, which is 11 billion now on the Base chain, which is wild. And if you really dig into the flows, which L2 Beat, shout out, does a very good job of showing the flows. Still a lot of flows coming from Ethereum. There, and you can see here like Robinhood and Base right now, it's about equal. There's actually a little bit more flowing from Robinhood chain to Base than there is Base to Robinhood chain. So yeah. Base is still the number one, still the number one L2, and arguably just the number one chain in the world. So I think that you definitely can't count Base out. Like they have a very, very big opportunity here. Like Jesse took his licks. Props to him for that, but he has a huge opportunity ahead of him. I think the next big catalyst here is going to be, like they've talked about in their profile here, Base's beginning to explore a network token. This is going to be a very big deal once this comes around. Robinhood chain has a lot of attention right now, and I think that they will have a lot of attention if they keep their focus on real world assets, tokenized assets, all that sort of stuff. Base needs to find their identity. Because and soon, because like they're going to have a lot of attention back to them once they launch this base token, because there's going to be just a lot of people that come to base, build on top of base, want to farm this token, want to like take advantage of like building or doing and transacting on base in order to try to get some distribution of this token, which is for sure going to be in the billions valuation. So the token airdrop that comes along with that, if they do it right, could be worth a lot to a lot of people. So I think that's going to be the next big catalyst. So yeah, a lot to pay attention to and look forward to still. So let's see what happens with Base and Robinhood, but it's exciting nonetheless. They're both doing a great job, and we'll see what happens. Other news I kind of want to point to here was, well, the markets are pumping right now, like Ethereum, Bitcoin holding up very, very well. The past couple of days, we've had like a very good bounce off the bottoms, a little bit of a move up. Right now, it's starting to go a little bit sideways, but looking like it might continue. So the main reason for this has been this news here. So CPI came out 2 days ago. So those that don't know, CPI is Consumer Price Index. This is the measure of inflation for the end consumer, basically, and it fell off cliff. Great to see. This was much needed because a lot of people were getting worried about inflation and wondering if this was going to be sustained over the long term. But yeah, it fell off pretty good in June. So 3.5%, which was well below expectations. Expectations were 3.8, and even core fell to 2.6, which was below expectations of 2.8. So the Fed's mandate is to keep inflation around the 2% mark. So it's falling closer to 2%, which is great, because also on the PPI, which came out yesterday, which is the producer index. So basically, it's the CPI, but for producers, so for people that manufacture stuff like that, so like the costs going into the goods, essentially. This also fell off yesterday. So PPI core was only 0.2, expected was 0.3. So year over year, the PPI came down to 4.7, which was well below expectations of 5.1. So that was a big deal also. So yeah, the market's kind of got a double boost this week based on those CPI and the PPI. Great to see, because like basically what's been happening is like the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, came into office, and he just kept talking about how prices are way too high, essentially saying that like inflation is way too high. And a lot of people have been very worried that this means that they're going to have to raise interest rates again. So if you follow like on Polymarket, the odds that they were going to raise interest rates this year started just like hiking up to like 40% almost. So this uncertainty, the markets, as I always talk about, just absolutely hate uncertainty. And this was really holding down the markets, because now the markets had to price in like the odds of them hiking rates further, which the markets don't like, because that's essentially taking liquidity out of the system. So, but now since the CPI and PPI came out, it's actually just also fell off a cliff. And now the odds of Fed rate hike have gone down to just 4%. So that's the main reason why the markets have been kind of moving back up, was because they've been pricing out this potential rate hike now, which means markets go up, because markets want rate cuts, or at least things to stay the same. Yeah, so that's been kind of the big news there. We'll see what happens over the next few days, see how sustainable it is, but it definitely looks like the markets are trying to put in a bottom and like make a higher high and higher low, which would be nice. My base case is still that the summer is going to be pretty choppy here, least the northern hemisphere summer is going to be pretty choppy here. And hopefully by, I don't know, September, October, the markets start to reprice upwards is kind of my base case, but not financial advice. I've been a watcher and a trader in the macro markets for a long time. Before I got into crypto, that was what I was doing for a couple of years anyways. And so I follow macro quite a bit. Again, not financial advice. You never know what's going to happen. Markets are tricky, but all I know is that markets hate uncertainty, and they definitely hate tight liquidity environments like rate hikes. So if that gets priced out, that's a good help to hopefully put in a bottom here. So we'll see what happens. Other news here in the crypto world anyways, A16Z just put out a long blog post here around TradFi doesn't want DeFi, it wants blockchain. And I kind of wanted to comment on this because it seems like every cycle there's some iteration of this. Like I love A16Z. They're a great net benefit for the space. They invest in a lot of crypto projects, and in general, they're very, very sharp and are good at like betting on trends and calling out trends that are coming in the future. I don't fully agree with this take, though. I mean, I agree with the take, but I don't think that it's going to be as consequential, I would say, as they're making it out to be here. Because like basically every cycle now, I've been in crypto since 2016, and every single bull and bear market, there's always some iteration of the same thing. And you hear loudly in the bear markets is like Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin blockchain, yes. BTC asset, no. Or Ethereum blockchain, yes. ETH asset, no. And then like last cycle, there was also like Binance was pushing like CDFI, like centralized decentralized finance, which didn't make too much sense, but I kind of understood the point, which was that like, and this is just a new iteration of this. Basically, TradFi doesn't want DeFi because it's decentralized. It removes the middlemen. Like true DeFi removes the middlemen and doesn't allow them to rent seek and take fees from the end user. Of course, TradFi doesn't want DeFi. Like, it makes perfect sense. Like TradFi, like banks and all these big institutions, they want to, in order to survive, they have to like be able to continue to rent seek and pull as much fees out of every transaction and every interaction with the end user as possible. So yeah, this is just, again, another iteration of that. And we'll see how it all plays out. They talk about in this blog how there's a lot of opportunities to build infrastructure for TradFi, like with KYC and allowing TradFi to use blockchain, but still extract fees basically. I don't know. And they also say that like the innovation, of course, will always come from the true DeFi, which is the decentralized model. I don't know. I hope that who ultimately will decide who wins here between TradFi and DeFi is the end user. So I hope to help promote DeFi more, because at the end of the day, a true DeFi, like a true decentralized finance world where everything is built on crypto rails and we reduce or remove as many middlemen as possible, remove as much like fee extraction as possible, rent seeking, remove as much as possible. That's the model that is best for the end user. And the end user just needs to kind of vote with their feet, vote with their money, and choose DeFi products that actually have these reduced fees and actually are built on true crypto rails and like true DeFi protocols. So I hope to help promote a little bit more of that. I think eventually TradFi, I like the thesis of this article here is that like TradFi merges with DeFi, but it's like a mix of both. Sure, in the short to midterm, I believe that could be true. But over the long run, like the user, money, whatever you want to say, like always finds the path of least resistance. and the path of least resistance is removing all these middlemen, and it's a true decentralized protocol. So yeah, I think in the end DeFi wins. I mean, it's for me, it's like super obvious that in the end DeFi wins, but right now TradFi still has their regulatory moats, and they have a lot of power in Congress and all that sort of stuff, so they can still try to push their agendas and slow things down. But yeah, in the end, like protocols like Aave and like these true decentralized protocols will win out. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, that's my thesis on everything anyways. Yeah, that's basically all I wanted to cover today. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. Hopefully we can do more of these chats. I want to do as many of them as possible. Again, I do have guests lined up. Scheduling is the hardest part, but I hope to get like some teams that you guys know from like Virtual's ecosystem, base ecosystem in here, chat with them, and also some other interesting conversations with some other influencers and stuff like that. So yeah, lots to tune into. Please follow myself and the EPU account on X, so you can kind of stay tuned into all this. Follow my account also. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.